Hey guys, welcome back to day 4 of Back to Homeschooling Week here on my channel, and we've got a lot to talk about today. Today I'm sharing my homeschool schedule, tentative homeschool schedule. Things always change. Although I will say we stick pretty closely to the schedules that I set up at the beginning of the year. I think, 11 years into this thing, I can navigate this planning season with an awareness of how our family really operates and put some plans in place that should work out, save for some outside influence that changes that. So I have our annual calendar prepared, I have our weekly calendar, and I also have a plan for our daytime schedule. So I'm going to share all of that with you guys today, and before I do, I'm going to, as I have with every other video this week, share about today's Back to Homeschool sponsor and giveaway. Every single day this week we have a giveaway from a company that we love and trust in our homeschool, and I'm really excited about today's. If you have watched my homeschool scheduling videos in the past, then you won't be surprised to know who is sponsoring today's video. But without further ado, here is today's Back to Homeschool giveaway. Today's video is in partnership once again with Vance Paper Co. And I say once again because for as long as I have been doing Back to Homeschool Week here on my channel, Vance Paper Co. has partnered with me for one of these Back to Homeschool giveaways, and I am thrilled that they were up for doing it one more time. So today, 2 winners are each going to receive $100 to spend in her shop, and the info for that giveaway is in the description box down below. I have used Vance Paper Co. planners for at least the last 5 years, if not longer. Last year was my first year using her simple planner, and I actually repeated the exact same order this year, but with a new cover. I love this planner. It is the perfect planner for me, and it was just such a beautiful addition to my planning time while not being too overwhelming or making me feel like there were tabs or things that I wasn't sure how to use. So the simple planner is the planner for me. She also has the minimal planner, which is just a step below the simple planner, the classic planner, which is cranked up a notch from the simple planner, and then the classic plus. There are tons of ways to customize the planner to fit your own needs, like, I don't know, probably 50, if not more, different covers. You can customize the cover wording. There's so many different things you can add or take away or customize when you're creating your planner. And she has an entire planner guide on her website if you want to take a peek at different ways you can customize your planner. So I'll put a link down below for you to check out her website. She also has the pupil companion planners. These are the planners that my kids use. My older 3 children each use their own planner, and it's really helpful to have that. And I usually like to match up their covers for those planners with some other notebooks that I purchased from her in order for them to have, say, their Bible journaling notebooks match their planners. And so it's fun to have different scripture and images on the front of each kid's set of books that we get from Vance Paper Co. So besides my planner and my students' planners, she also has math notepads, smaller journals, larger journals. She has a book of centuries, and we have kept the same book of centuries from her for years. It's really great quality. She has a meal planner, and if you've been around here for a while, then you've seen the meal planner that I use from her. She has companion journals, prayer journals, letters from loved ones journals, faith lessons journals, so when you can take these with you to church and take sermon notes. She has nature diaries and personalized stitched journals. I love all of her products. She also has some little details like stickers and labels that you can purchase and some digital downloads. So make sure you check out her website down in the description box down below and enter to win one of those gift cards if you are interested. And I hope you guys enjoyed this little peek at my 2023 to 2024 planner. I customized mine to begin in September and to go through August, but you can have yours start whenever is convenient for you. So thank you so much, Anna Vance, for partnering with me today on this video, and good luck, you guys. Thank you so much, Anna Vance, for partnering with me. Once again, we have absolutely loved using Anna Vance products in our homeschool for longer than I can probably even remember. At least 5 years, but probably longer than that. Yes, longer than that, because I don't even think Annie was born yet. The first planner that I grabbed from her. So, like I said, today we have a lot to talk about. So I'm gonna get right to it. We have a annual homeschooling schedule, we have a weekly schedule and a daily schedule to talk about today. And it feels a little complicated this year. So typically I share this at the beginning of the year and it seems a little bit more streamlined, or like it would maybe make sense and work for other families, the way that I schedule things. This year is, like I said, a little complicated. We have a toddler. That doesn't affect the plans as far as like her social life. Our 1-year-old does not have a massive social life yet, but my 9th grade daughter does. So we have one in 9th grade, we have one in 7th grade, and then we have 2 in elementary school, 1st grade and 4th grade. And so everybody has different needs this year and different outside influences on our family schedule. And so what I do is I start by looking at the commitments outside of our homeschool, and then I tailor our homeschooling schedule to fit those commitments, because the things that we are committed to, we highly value or are very invested in. So for example, my girls are on competitive dance teams. They have a combined total of 11 competition dances this year. So I already know there are solo, privates, and trio practices and group dance practices and class schedule and all of that. And we are, as I mentioned, very invested financially and time-wise into dance. And so it only makes sense for us to work around that versus trying to cram that in. It just makes our lives easier if we can be the easy family on the dance schedule because we homeschool. So we work with the schedules that the other girls in the group have. So it just makes sense for us to wait for that schedule and then plan around it. We also have, our boys are really into martial arts. They are both in an advanced class this coming year, and so that is demanding on the schedule as well. Not quite as much as dance, but there are extra classes and extra programs that they participate in as well. And so while not every family is super active in the afternoons and evenings, we are. So that's the first thing where I'm kind of like, the schedule might be a little bit complicated because of those outside factors this year. Add into that we also participate in a weekly Bible study that's during the day. There are homeschool classes there for my kids, all of my kids as well. So that removes one day from our calendar each week as far as family subjects go. And then on Mondays, we alternate every other Monday with a Charlotte Mason enrichment co-op and with a history co-op with friends. That used to be on Fridays, but we decided, since these friends were also in our Charlotte Mason group, that we would do history on the alternating Mondays as the co-op, just to keep our schedules neat and crisp. And so we didn't have every other Monday, every other Friday, and then every Wednesday. This way we are always either at history or at co-op on Mondays, and then we are always at Bible study Wednesdays, and it just made my schedule much easier. So buckle up. If you get all that, you're good now. That's all the factors that went into the scheduling this year that made it a little bit complicated. As well as having a high schooler, I just feel like there are some things that are necessary to give more time to now that we didn't always need to make the heavy time for in our homeschool, if that makes sense. We could always put off some learning to another day if we wanted to have a little bit more time doing a read aloud or a longer nature walk, but there are some things that I don't want to stress her out with, so I want to leave lots of wiggle room for her to get her lessons done so that she can go enjoy cheer and can enjoy dance and won't feel like she has to come home and do other things when she gets home at like 10 p.m. All right, so we are going to start with our annual calendar first, and this year we are starting later than usual. Typically we homeschool year round. We take about a 5 or 6 week break in the summer and get right back to it in July, and this year I needed way more time, and so we are not starting our school year until the last week of August. That kind of feeds into September 1st, and that's going to be kind of a light week because I kind of like to do a rolling start when we start homeschool, and have a day where we just kind of look at their curriculum and then kind of get started rolling subjects in. So what I decided to do in order to make Christmas break still happen, and I like to do like a 6-in-1 or a 5-in-1 kind of schedule with a week off every 5 or 6 weeks, was I backed up to where I wanted to end, and I kind of put in the main breaks that I wanted first, and then I divvied out the rest of the weeks according to that. And because we took a longer summer, we didn't stop math or reading. As a matter of fact, my kids have read anywhere between 10 to 15 books at least this summer, each of them, and they have all finished the math that they were working on last year and begun their new math for this coming year. So because of that, I wasn't too concerned with doing a 36-week schedule. Also, in the state that we live in, it's not required to have a certain number of days, hours, or weeks, and so I decided, as I have in years past, to go with a 33-week schedule, 3 of those weeks being exam weeks. So we follow a Charlotte Mason type of method in our homeschool. We're Charlotte Mason inspired, I would say. But instead of 3 12-week terms, we're going to do 3 11-week terms, and that includes their exam weeks, and it should work out just fine. So what I decided to do was alternate 5 weeks on and a week off, and 6 weeks on and a week off. Those weeks with the 6 weeks, that 6th week will be an exam week. So we should be able to start that last week of August and go through the end of May, and that leaves us room to take a longer summer again next year if we decide to do so. And because, like I said, because we have those outside commitments with dance, cheer, karate, music, golf, all the things that my kids are involved in various seasons, I think we might be a family that takes longer summers for the time being. It's just been beneficial for us to have this much time off. Moving on to our weekly schedule, I kind of already broke that down for you a little bit with sharing that Mondays are commitments to outside groups, and then Wednesday we have that Bible study. Now, because of the timing of that Bible study, we still have a chunk of the day Wednesday. If I only had younger children, I would not do anything on that day. I would just do a 3-day-a-week formal school week and have 1 day for our co-op and enrichment groups, which I think is plenty for an elementary schooler, especially considering that Wednesday is also formal learning in a Bible study setting. However, my middle and high schooler both have curriculum this year, specifically science and math. I want them to have at least 4 days a week, if not 5, available to them to work on those things. So we will be utilizing some of that Wednesday space for homeschool, although my younger ones may not come home and do much afterward. But I wanted to respect my older kids by not expecting them to have a minimal amount of time on the schedule for formal learning and then question why they're not getting the work done at the end of the year. So that is our weekly schedule, the only things that really affect our weekly schedule. So school stuff on Mondays, not at home, and then Tuesday through Friday, some school, mostly school at home every day. Wednesday, a little chunk of the day that will be gone. So from there, we're gonna move on to what I'm sure you're most interested in, which is our daily rhythm. And I have that all fine-tuned now. I've been working on it here and there throughout the summer, and I think I found what will work best for us this year, and it's a little different from years past. Okay, so the first thing I'll mention is that typically when I schedule our daily rhythm, I schedule about an hour or so for each general area, and that's typically enough time to get through something with margin. I'm not a fan of scheduling things down to the 15-minute mark, but an hour is generally enough time to give us wiggle room and to just, for the most part, be moving on to the next task, say around 10-ish, around 11-ish. This year, because we have a toddler in the house and because my high schooler might need a little bit more time here or there, or my middle schooler who's doing science independently for the first time, I scheduled things to like the hour and a half, which takes our day out a little further, more toward about 2 o'clock, whereas up until this point, we've been able to be mostly done by lunchtime or say around 1. So that's the first adjustment that I made. The other adjustment is that the verse, the Bible verse, where 2 or 3 gather in my name, there I am in their midst. I love that verse, and I am claiming that for our own homeschool. And so I just want to make sure that I give space as we sit down to the table to be aware of the fact that that all that we're studying and all the beauty that we are uncovering through our studies all point to creation and just time together and valuing one another. And so I want to keep that verse in mind and not rush through our days. I want to make sure that I'm operating from the perspective of homeschooling and parenting being my ministry to my family. And so I'm just wanting to kind of rest the schedule a little bit, or relax the schedule so we can rest into that type of a mindset. So this is our schedule, save for the Mondays when we're out of the house and the couple of hours on Wednesdays that we will be at Bible study, which isn't every week. So what I have planned is that from about 8 till about 10, and yes, 8 is an early start, and yes, we had gone off of that early start for a while. We're back to it. We start that early because my husband is a contractor and leaves very early for work. He likes to meet his teams before he sends them off places many days during the week, and so he's up and at 'em. My kids all want to see him before he leaves, and so we're already up. Also, I like to use our morning space because our afternoons are crowded. So I like to make sure that I give us some time in the mornings. We're early risers, just to kind of sit down to the morning basket and not be rushing, because there's that feeling of rushing in our afternoons and evenings sometimes, and I don't want our days to feel that way. So the earlier we start, the more peace there is in the schedule. So I understand that not everyone starts at 8 a.m., but again, that's what works best for our family, because we don't have the free-flowing afternoons every day. So from 8 to 10, I have kind of set aside to be the time our kids Bible journal, if they haven't already. Typically they do that before breakfast, but if they haven't done it yet, they'll have time to do that. We sit down to our morning basket. I will put that video up here in the corner. If you haven't seen that yet, I would suggest you check out that, as well as my enrichment subjects video, so that this all makes more sense. So family subjects, morning basket, and time to just spend outdoors. Sometimes in South Florida, that is 8 a.m. because it's way too hot to do anything other than swim after that. But as we get toward the winter, that we do try to go outside closer to around 10 a.m. It's a great time and it's just beautiful. So during that time, I have outdoors time, which will kind of lead into some nature study. And some days, instead of morning basket, we just do nature study for about an hour instead. And so that leaves just kind of, that space is held for family subjects, morning basket, nature, or just playtime outdoors. From 10 to about 11:30 is where I have the time where I'm focused on teaching my elementary kids. We'll do a 5 in a row lesson. We will work on their math, their handwriting, their reading lessons, or spelling and writing lessons, with the Simply Charlotte Mason Using Language Well. And then my older kids, that's the time that I have set aside for them to begin their independent work. It's important to me that they have time for their independent work before I sit down with them, because that way they can use the time they have with me in the afternoons for any questions they may still have. So that's from 10 to 11:30. I'm with the younger kids. Older kids are working on their own, but nearby so that they have me available. 11:30 to 12, this is new. This is time I have chiseled out in the schedule just for our read aloud or for Shakespeare. I'll alternate that, and that way we'll be together before lunch. The 12 to 1 o'clock hour I have set aside for lunch, for them to do their chores. They have short afternoon contributions. It's like tidying up the schoolroom, the bathroom, sweeping a floor. It doesn't take longer than like 5 minutes, to be honest. And that is where we will now put in what was formerly an hour-long quiet time. This will be a shorter quiet time, and also time for me to then get the baby down for a nap. It gives me some time to do that and I actually wrote down mom emotional reset because I usually at that point, after actively teaching for like 3 hours, need a little bit of time to like, especially after I put the baby down. So that gives me an hour to get the baby her lunch, get the big kids their lunch, get her down for a nap, and then hopefully I'll also have time to eat during that time. But if not, I'll munch on my lunch while I'm working with the older kids after lunchtime. So our quiet time involves some independent reading time and then just some enjoyable, everyone has their own space kind of play. And that's always been a healthy thing for us to have for our family, especially again, because of busy afternoons. It's really beneficial to us to have a low note in our day because we have a lot of high notes in the evenings. At that point, my little kids are done, and I move on to my middle and high schooler from 1 o'clock after I get the baby down until whenever I'm available to work with them. So we sit down and that's when I'll work on my daughter's logic curriculum. I will help my son with his science. We will do their big kid Bible study. We are doing the Simply Charlotte Mason Bible study this year, the Through the Word, I think it is, or Grow in the Word this year that we're doing. I'll have time to work with them on all sorts of things that are independent or that they need help with. So again, the Simply Charlotte Mason Using Will and Spelling Wisdom, or Using Language Well and Spelling Wisdom, I'll do that with them then. Anything like that where they need one-on-one time with me, I'm available to them from 1 until whenever. I'm assuming it should be around 2:30, 3 o'clock, sometimes a little less than that, depending on what they were able to accomplish on their independent time in the morning. But it's important to me that I have time that is reserved for them in the early afternoon because they just can't be completely independent. They need some time with me and I need to place value on that. And then after that, they're free. So we'll go in the pool, we'll hang out, we'll play, whatever. I also have worked in a couple of additional things here that I still value but don't fit into our schedule on a weekly basis. I have on Tuesdays, one Tuesday a month, I will pre-plan the date, and I'll actually be doing a video about this here soon for their poetry tea time. That's just something we all enjoy sitting around the table and doing together. So I'll pick a date one Tuesday a month ahead of time and chisel out some time for that. On Wednesdays after our Bible study, I wanted to use that space to work on our handcraft. It's the perfect way to get some work done without it being overwhelming after being in a highly social environment for a couple of hours. So we'll come home, have lunch, and then have a lot of time to work on our handcraft, which is watercolor. On Thursdays, one Thursday a month, I want us to, again, I'll pre-plan the date. I'm actually gonna write it down in my planner now that I have this, and that'll be our library time. Other than that, we do like a lot of checking out online and picking up, but that'll be time to actually go and peruse the library. And then something that I'm really excited about is 2 Fridays a month, and I've already worked this out with my husband and I'm thrilled. I'm gonna work with my older kids in that afternoon time I have with them at a local coffee shop. We have a really great coffee shop that just lends itself to learning, and it's just amazing the way that it's set up. It's got perfect little nooks and crannies to sit with my kids, and I can do that afternoon time with them somewhere else, which means I'll be less distracted and they'll also learn how to work in an outside environment, which is super important to me because I'll go somewhere and almost not know how to settle in and focus. And so this will help with our habit of attention this year as well. The other 2 Fridays a month, we won't have as much free time because of solo practices, but on those 2 Fridays a month, and I already have the dates for the whole year from their choreographer, I will sit with my big kids and we will go work at a local coffee shop, and that'll be an opportunity for them to really truly have me all to themselves, and for me to work on some things too if they're working. So there you have it. That is our yearly, weekly, and daily homeschool plan for this upcoming homeschooling year. If you have any questions, leave those in the comments down below. Once we get going, I will do a day in the life here and there just to show how it's all shaping up. But I'm excited. I think it's a good system, and I feel like it should meet everyone's needs well without me feeling like I'm burning the candle at both ends. I don't want our homeschool to have that feel to it, which is why I've stretched us a little further to a little bit of a later ending time, just so there's time for everything and time for rest as well. So those are our plans. Make sure you check out the giveaway in the description box down below. Let me know if you have any questions or comments, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye guys.